when everything was working. What the
It's-
fuck? They've been changing shit for no reason.
From within like 3-day time period too, because we were just on here on Sunday.
Exactly. Man, those medical clearances can't come fast enough, eh?
Oh my gosh. The sooner the better. We got agreements, but we don't have all the necessary paperwork signed quite yet to get some defensive reinforcements in and to get some fresh legs in the back, which would be much needed at this point.
Yep, we're gonna get into that in a little bit. Until we do, welcome to the Snobby Boys! Everybody, welcome to the Snobby Boy Podcast. I am your host, Colby. That's my homeboy, Joe, over there. Man, these screens are small now.
Right? We're used to having a little more wiggle room.
Right? I have to.
Now it's like, nope. Yep.
And I got it the first time. You know? Fucking, God damn it. Oh, man. Everybody, welcome. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit the subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Make sure you're up to date with us on social media by following us at SnobbyPod. Also, we've got some grandiose news for you this evening. If a lot of you did not see, today, there was a new channel launched. We're super excited to talk about that here in a little while. But before we do, Joe, what are we getting into?
Tonight, we will be reviewing the Brentford match, 2-2 draw that felt more like a loss than a draw. I think everybody can agree with that. We will then be breaking down what's going on in the city and the community. We got a little bit of update on some of our incomings here. We got 3 main names to talk about, which will lead most of that conversation. And at the end, be our usual time for some bro talk. Hopefully that'll be a great time for you guys who stick around throughout the first half or so of the show. And that's a great time for you guys to drop some comments, ask us some questions, and engage with us so we can have a little dialogue back and forth to wrap up the show for whoever is still sticking around with us throughout the entirety of the Brentford recap and then the city and community news. So without further ado, let's jump into Brentford. 2-2 draw. Took a 2-0 lead. Again, last 8 minutes of the match, bit of a bugaboo for us, and we gave up the 2-goal lead that we earned. One of them in the final minutes of the match, unfortunately. Let's first talk starting 11. A lot of the similar cast that we've been accustomed to in the Premier League. A lot of changes from our FA Cup match against Salford over the weekend. I thought it was interesting that Nunez again got the call at right back, but then the rest of the cast of characters is pretty much the same go. None of the guys who really stood out against Salford got any run really at all, except for Maka towards the end. No Nico O'Reilly, no Jack, no Doku. None of those guys who really shined were given an opportunity against Brentford yesterday. So interesting group. I thought it was going to be good enough to get us going. Savinho has been in a good run of form for us, and I expected good things from him. I like that Kova was back in the holding midfielder role. I liked generally what I saw from him throughout the match, but I thought it was going to be enough to get us 3 points. When I first saw the team sheet, It was nice seeing more than just 2 actual defenders in the starting lineup. We got 3 this time. So it was unfortunate result, but I was happy with the initial lineup. I was a little disappointed, and we'll get into this a little bit towards the end of the recap about how players were used in the second half. So, Colby, what were your thoughts when you saw the 11 come across?
Yeah, well, the first thing that that ran through my head was, okay, well, all these guys have had a break. Now's the time to show everybody what City used to look like. And for the most part, it kind of happened, and then it didn't. I mean, it just, yeah. Shout out to the chat, by the way. Everybody in there, thank you for popping in this evening, hanging out with us. Yeah, I had high hopes in a way, because I'm thinking of myself, well, yeah, this ain't Salford, so understandably, this 11 is going to be a little bit stronger. Hopefully the guys have been able to get in this time off, been able to kind of curb themselves onto the same page. And like I said, it looked that way for a little bit. And then it just didn't. Obviously, Nunez starting it right back, that was the big surprise for everybody. I love the fact that he's even getting involvement, because the run of form that he was on prior to the new year, I really felt we could have used him so much more, and we haven't. So the fact that Pep sees that he's working his ass off, and putting him anywhere on the pitch at this point, it shows that his work ethic is there. I wonder what more he can do for us going forward. I think there's going to be a lot of. I think with the way he played, I mean, yes, he definitely looked out of place at certain points in time, but on the whole, I think that Pep is starting to see that he has so much more to give to the team other than just being an out-and-out midfielder. On the whole, I was very content with the lineup. I felt that it could have proven for us, but obviously
didn't quite work out that way, unfortunately.
Didn't quite work out that way. And there was actually something that Luke said in here just a minute ago is about game management and how we've kind of lost that art, and we kind of have. When I say kind of, I mean really. We really, really have. Us putting ourselves up in a position of being up 2-0 and then allowing those 2 goals to go by late. It hurts. It hurts a lot.
100%. The game management that we previously had been able to employ is just keeping the ball for extended periods of time and other teams not being able to get the ball off of us and just wearing them down throughout the match by keeping it for 70% of the game. When you're constantly on your heels and defending throughout the match, you don't have legs at the end of it to chase anymore. So we're able just to knock the ball around, keep, and no harm, no foul there. Now, because we're not able to keep the ball like we have been accustomed to, we're the ones, and we have so many injuries, we're the ones with no legs at the end. That's what happened to me. Yeah. You look at the end, guys were trying to get back, were running. They just didn't have it. They didn't have any more in their legs to push themselves any further. They were gassed out, 100% gassed out. And you look at the bench, I thought there were some options with some fresh legs that could have helped a little bit towards the end. But I'm not going to sit here and
wasn't a help.
Who dat?
Fucking Gundo. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yep. So, but with Walker, Walker, I do want to mention something about Kyle, because I saw that he on social media went after somebody who was being a twat and was trying to give him shit for not being with the team. He wasn't, he didn't travel with the team. He wasn't around. Guess what? They made that choice together between him and the club that he wasn't going to travel. That wasn't him just saying, I'm not going to show up. I get there's a lot of discontent with with Kyle right now because he's not displayed captain-like tendencies throughout the course of this season. We all have seen it. That does not, however, take away from all the good that he's done. And people just trying to slag people off and players off again on the internet because they feel comfortable saying whatever the hell they want behind a screen. Do some research first. Kyle didn't just say, hey, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. I'm not going and traveling. He was training with the other folks who are still recovering. And the club also decided he was going to stay back. So this wasn't just on him. Kyle wasn't being a D-bag. Okay, let's not overreact, folks.
Even though we kind of think he is.
Yes, exactly. So I did want to get that out of the way. So Kev, again, starts, gets the armband. That seems to be a recurring theme. When he's starting, he's getting it. So we'll see what happens in the future when Ruben comes back. And then we'll see what happens the rest of the season. And then we'll get into that over the offseason about who's going to be captain of Man City going forward. So we'll see. But I do want to go back to what Hoying said, that it felt like a loss. When anytime you're up and you drop the points and you can see to make a draw to the draw, even though you're getting a point out of it, when you lose, when it comes from a winning position, it always feels like a loss. When you credit for Brentford, they never gave up, they continued running, and when you get a point from a losing position, it always feels more like a win, especially at home, especially for anybody that's playing against Manchester City. Anytime you're getting a point off of us, whether we're in a good run of form or not, that's big for them. So it was just a weird watch, man. It was just a weird watch.
I don't consider this a loss.
I don't think so either. I get why it feels that way, but I'm with you.
It can feel that way, but let's look at it logistically speaking. Yesterday, if everybody looked at the results on top of our result, the table did not change. Nothing moved. Everybody was even Steven. So honestly, we all got a free pass. There's still room to make this happen. There's a 12-point disparity. It's nothing we haven't seen before. I will take this as a loss. I will take this as exactly what it is. It was a draw. We should have won. We didn't. Mm-hmm. So in that point, it does look like it. But when you look around the rest of the league and how they fared yesterday, I'm okay. I'm good.
All right. We're 3 points off Newcastle, who sit in the 4th spot in the Champions League spot. So it's not like Champions League football is totally an unrealistic expectation at this point.
Right.
They came out with the coefficient, I think, of with all the top leagues competing across Europe. And right now, it's looking like England is going to get that additional Champions League spot for next year. So getting to 5th seems to be what it would take at this point to achieve Champions League football, which would still be far. I'm telling you, bro, he has hacked our notes somehow.
He's in there.
So it's just, so we're right where we're not in a terrible spot at this point. I do appreciate Phil coming out and talking about the league and saying it was saying like it's at this point. I mean, we heard Mancini say this when it was even much closer than this, that the league was finished back in 2010. But this far back, it's obviously not done. There's a lot of points still, but what I loved, what Phil said was there is still so much to play for. There are still 2 trophies and a third. I mean, the Premier League isn't technically done. We're not mathematically out of it. So there's still Champions League football to play for. There's FA Cup still to play for, and we could still claw our way back into the Premier League title race. At the very least, we still have to play for Champions League spots. There is so much important football to be played for this team that just because the Premier League is 12 points out right now and it doesn't look like that's going to happen, it doesn't mean the season's done and everything's wrapped up. There is so many things to talk about and to play for these players going forward. So there is there's
still so much that could happen with other teams. I'm sorry, dude. There's a spell that Liverpool still has yet to hit. I just
They'll hit
these
their
top
they'll hit
teams
their stride.
these top teams are starting to gas, and if you've not looked over the last few matches, Liverpool doesn't look the same as they did in September. And I'm sorry, but you don't win the league in September, do you?
Nope.
No. Typically win the league late. So I'm comfortable with where we're at. I think that even if we don't win the league, even if we just hit in the top 4, I'm fine with that. Winning doesn't have to come every season. Honestly, winning gets boring after a little while. I'm not gonna lie. Like I say that on the scope of looking at somebody like Max Verstappen, right? For all my F1 people here, dude won and won and won and won and won and won and won, and then, like, finally after like so long, the win didn't feel like anything. So now that we've gotten ourselves to that point, I'm good with where we're at. And I said this right at the beginning of our 16 game skid.
Mm-hmm.
This is a humbling experience for everybody. Everybody needs to be brought back down to reality and realize that it cannot be this level of consistency for so long. Same thing applies to them. So I think that everybody just hold your trousers. This is going to be okay.
And next segment, we'll be talking about some light at the end of the tunnel. There's reinforcements on the way soon, so we will get to those folks momentarily. Give me somebody who stood out for you, who you thought performed well, who caught your eye during the match, in a good way or a bad way. Maybe somebody who didn't do so well.
I mean, Phil certainly looked better.
Body language wise, everything looked different for him, which was really good.
Take care, bud. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. Hopefully you finish it out on a later time. But yeah, I don't know what I was saying. What I just right
Phil. You're talking about Phil.
Phil. Yeah, Phil. Phil looked better. He didn't look as frustrated. There's really not anybody that stood out for me yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I spent a lot of my time watching what Nunez was doing because there was a part of me that was scared shitless for him. So I felt like I spent a lot of my time looking at the top right or bottom left quadrant of the TV. More than I was looking around the pitch. You know, the one thing that I think I see the most happening is during build-up. You know, I think there was one instance where Savio was driving it down, and Erling was wide open on the far side, and Savio could have taken a cross over to him and didn't. I think there was quite a few times where Savinho played a little selfishly. I know that it even frustrated Holland a little bit.
I remember exactly the moment you're talking about. You could see it on his face that he was very frustrated not to receive the ball at that point. Yeah.
And it was a little frustrating to see him not look, you know, on the other side of the pitch for that pass. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of anybody else who really kind of here's the bad one. Gundo coming on for Kova.
I expected to see Gundo on for Kev, not for Kova. So when it was Kova coming off and
I don't want to see him in a 6. I don't want to see him in the 6 for the rest of the fucking season at this point.
He can do that against Salford, but not against Premier League clubs.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, sure, Brentford's a tough game. We can say that about any of the London clubs. It's a tough game. Sure. But we had the recipe, and we gassed ourselves out way too early. I was happy to see regardless of the fact that 2 goals were let by. And I think that Gundo was a little bit to blame, especially on that first goal. Um, the the defensive backs actually looked like they were there for the first at least 70 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So that was notable to me that they actually did perform for much of the match. Aside from that, much other than that, there's nothing. There's nothing really big that I can really take from any one of the 10 up front.
Yeah, it was nice. The good thing I thought was Akanji and Ake both were able to go a full 90. We didn't have to pull Ake off early because he wasn't quite fit. That shows and tells me that he's getting closer to being his usual self. He had 2 phenomenal clearances where if he wasn't where he was at the time, they would have scored and kept us one tied at the very end and kept us in the lead at the time when he went down and was and pretty much was on the ground and saved the goal without giving up a handball. So I thought Ake was excellent. For me, there were moments where Kev looked like the old Kev, and then there was moments where Kev looked like the 34-year-old Kev, which I think is to be expected at this point. He's going to have moments of brilliance, and he's going to have moments where he just doesn't have it in him. He just when age creeps in, it's the consistency that starts to drain out of you because you just don't have the same stamina. You don't have this. Your body starts letting you down, so you're not able to perform as consistently as you once did. So, man, it was wonderful seeing him whip that ball in one time and Phil just with a soft touch. Those were chances we weren't finishing before, and Phil was messing up. So I'm hoping that these 2 goals and particularly that finish is something that will help Phil kick on, and we get to see more of the Phil of last season. Hard to hit those heights again right now, considering the form of everybody else around him. But at least I think we'll see a better version of Phil going forward. So for me, yeah, I would say Ake probably stood out. And before he got subbed off, Kova I thought was very, very good. He did a good job in breaking up play. He was, again, one of the few midfielders that was willing to pick up the ball and be progressive with it, whether it was dribbling forward or making an incisive forward pass instead of just passing it sideways or backwards. For me, people, I saw people talking about how they would have preferred Gundo, and I would have preferred Gundo going on for Kev, and let Kova stay on. But when he came off, to me, it looked like he had run it. What I turned and said to the family was, he's run his race. He doesn't have anything left. When he was coming off, it just looked like he was done. So for me, I think maybe adding some additional legs there, and maybe instead of just subbing 2, maybe we bring on an additional 2 and get 4 fresh players out there. Right. Maybe you throw Rico on to give Nunez some freedom to play in the middle and let his physicality kind of see out the game in the middle, or you let Nico come in. He played well. He's got fresh legs. He's got, he's a big body in there to help mix it up. And maybe you take off Kev and Kova and you freshen up 2/3 of your midfield at that point. So I felt like maybe, and this is, hindsight and playing Monday morning quarterback or Wednesday morning quarterback. And Pep obviously has forgotten more about football than I ever will know. But for me, I felt like maybe to give our boys who were clearly tired, whose legs were pretty much spent at that point, give them some, those last 10 minutes off and put some fresh legs. And I understand the counter argument to that is it was an intense game. It was back and forth, very intense.
It really was. High press the whole time, low block. Yeah. I mean, it was just back and forth
So sometimes it's hard for a sub to come in and get up to speed right away. So sometimes Pep just trusts the guys that are out there because they already know the speed of play at this point. So it's hard. It's not easy as a manager in the moment to. Do you trust the guys that are out there to see it out, or do you say, you know what, I'm going to trust the guys on the bench to get up to speed quickly and be able to take care of business? So I thought the Ake clearance was a key moment in the game. Obviously, the goals,
Absolutely.
those 4 goals were very big. I thought after the match was done, it was very interesting to see Pep's reaction with 2 players in particular. One was Gavardiol, and then the other one was Ortega. I could not tell for the life of me if he was berating Ortega or if he was trying to like pick him up and say, you know what, you did a great job throughout a majority of the match. Don't hang your head because of those 2 goals coming in. Keep your head up because we need you. For the life of me, I could not tell which direction that conversation was going, but it was really interesting to watch the post game stuff and seeing him interact with those 2 particular players. You know what I mean?
Yep. I think people, and this happens to me. I think people commonly mistaken certain actions with passionate people. And Pep is a very passionate person.
100%.
His emotion, he wears them right on his sleeve, and he does not care that anybody sees them. I think that, and we actually caught a quote from Pep about that particular instance. I'll read it off here in a second. But I think people often are scared or get wrapped up or in their head think that somebody being passionate is somebody being angry, and that was not the case in this particular instance. As it says in the quote, conversation with the Oscar Bardiol, how good he played. He played an incredible game. I was satisfied. We talked about one action, but it's the same with Stefan Ortega. I said how good he played. His actions with the ball, good passes to Erling Haaland. How happy and satisfied I am with, especially with these 2 players for how well they've done. That was another thing too. Those passes that are going up the field to Haaland have been pretty damn good
That was noticeably different in the second half, especially. They were like, let's just feed the big guy, let him hold the play up, and you let him use his body on these Brentford defenders, and then let others come into the game off of him. And I was so I'm glad that you mentioned that because I was so happy to see that in the second half. I remember now that we're talking about it. Bro, Andy.
Spot on.
Check mark next to that one.
But hold on, give Andy an air horn.
Yes. Andy gets one of those for sure. But just seeing them play long to Haaland and letting him get engaged that way and letting him tangle with defenders and use his strength and size to his advantage and hold up play for us, do that more. Whether it's a long ball from the keeper or intricate play to get it to him, but invite him into the play more and let him hold the ball up and distribute. And this becomes a totally different offensive attack, and we're able to do so many more different things.
Always playing out of the back.
Because that's what that does. It sucks up the defenders up the center backs wherever Haaland is. That sucks him up in there. You dribble it to him, he lays it off to somebody and turns and uses his speed. Now he's got space to run into, and that's what we fucking bought him for, was his athleticism and speed and be able to play those long balls for him to go chase and dominate people physically. Please continue to do that, boys. That was one of the positives in the second half that I definitely noticed, and I hope we see more of that because that was so nice to see finally him getting physical and getting like engaged with center backs again like that, and not just kind of drifting. Like, no, like feed him the ball, let it, because that gets him a little fired up and gets him more angry. And I like an angry Erling Haaland. When he's like fired up like that, he's a different beast.
He really is. It's fun to watch.
Please keep doing that, everybody. So, and I thought Ortega was better with his feet yesterday too. Some of the things, he's obviously not Ederson, but I felt like that with him,
more confident looking.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd like that from him, and it seems like he's going to be first choice here in the Premier League, at least for the time being, and I'd like seeing that from him too. So I'm happy with his performance too. He did the best thing he fucking could on that last goal. He got a hand on it. He's just his height, lack thereof, kind of hurt him there. He's not the tallest keeper in the world. He's a great shot stopper, very agile. If that's Thibaut Courtois at 6'7", that's a save But when you're
Right.
6 feet, you don't quite have the reach to get there. He tried. He got his hand on it, but he couldn't keep it out. So, got to applaud the effort. Just wish his arms were just a little longer, and we could have kept that one out. But he did everything he could. Defense
Steve
and
Smith
midfield
says.
let
Steve
him.
Smith. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. I'm a dick.
No, you're good. I was talking very slowly, and it was a thought that popped in my head. You're good. What did Steve say?
He said Holland needs to get the ball early. He does. For him to be the true difference maker for us in any match, if we can get him the ball early and often, and he can at least get one in, that changes the dynamic of the whole game. He seemingly likes to go and get it a little bit more once he's already gotten one in. That's one of the things that we've talked about. We ad nauseum probably is the fact that he does not go get the ball, and that's one thing that I would like to kind of initiate about the first team in this match too. Is the fact that anytime there was a pass, especially getting later and later in the match, if there was a pass coming to a player, there ain't nobody going to get it. That's what the fuck. Like that's fundamental basic 101 sports. You can't just wait for the ball to come to you. You got to go get it.
Mm-hmm.
And we do not go and get the ball enough. We'll go through periods where it feels like, maybe there's a little bit of urgency, but much beyond that, there has been, especially from our first teamers, a lack of urgency. When you look at the Salford match and you look at this match and the way that everybody was playing, you look at the Salford match, all the boys were going after the ball. They were going to get the ball. If they knew that was a short pass, they were running for it. You do not see that with our first teamers enough. It's almost like prima donna. Like, yep, the ball will get to me. I'll just stand right here. No. You want it, you got to go get it.
When coaching Jordan's team, my older daughter's team, we've had numerous games where the opposing coach has yelled at their players, "They're first to everything." And I don't think I felt more pride in those girls than in those moments where I'm like, you know what that means? That means you're working your asses off more so than their team, and good things will happen. Whether we win or lose or draw, I don't care, but you're outworking the other team, and that's all that's all I can ask of you at this point. Mm-hmm. And youth, especially in youth soccer in the US, you could play great and still lose. So there's so much that goes into who wins and who loses in these kind of things. So, but if the other coach is verbally shouting at his players that you guys are first to everything, that's the ultimate compliment. So keep doing that. And normally that's how City plays, where we win all the 50-50s. If we can't win the first one, we're winning the second one. That's just not happening this season due to all the reasons we've talked about already. Lack of, I guess maybe motivation at times, the tired legs, not being fully fit. All of those things lead to what you just talked about, where we're waiting for the ball and we're waiting for somebody to take the game by the horns instead of being the aggressor and being the one who goes and does it instead of hoping somebody else does, kind of thing. So
thank you for backing up my words.
Absolutely. That's what I'll be here for.
Sometimes not. Sometimes you can disagree with me. That'll be okay.
And that's okay too.
I don't think anybody in the comments would be mad about that.
Steve Smith, exactly. Angry Viking is good. Simple. Four words. So true.
Right.
Love an angry Viking.
He's out to take blood.
Yes.
Give him a reason to.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts on the match before we shift gears into transfer news and City news?
No, dog. I think everybody, including myself, and yourself, what?
No, I know where you're going with that. So yes.
Yeah, I think for all of us, it was just a little bit of a moment, little humbug. Little late humbug, if you will.
Right.
We could have done better, but it's hard going in anywhere that isn't home and really trying to take the house down. I mean, unless it is like a place like Salford.
Right.
You know, these are the best in the world, so we have to give them, you know, some kind of credit.
Thomas Frank is a really, really, really good manager, and Brentford has played everybody tough this year, and they always, whether they're lower end of the table, mid-table, whatever, they always give us a tough game. So,
yeah. Dude, even a couple of seasons ago when me and you went to that Premier League in the U.S. thing at
yeah,
RFK, or not RFK, fucking, what's it
it
called
was
now?
FedEx.
Northwest.
Now it's
FedEx,
Northwest. Now it's
whatever.
Northwest Stadium or Field or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is now. And getting to watch Brentford there and the way that he coaches, that was something I took note of on that day, considering, you know, we're sitting around watching 4 teams that aren't ours.
Mm-hmm.
I paid extra special attention to how the coaching and formations and tactics and all that stuff, in spite of us, you know, getting a little toasty while we were doing it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. You know, yeah, his coaching style was. I know why it's tough for us. Well, but also he doesn't really do anything different than what most of these coaches are doing against us, and that is high press, low block. And he just
counterattack.
Exactly. And I mean, they did it. They did it for almost 90 fucking minutes straight, and it didn't falter at all. So I'm happy that we walked away with the result that we did. You know, obviously we all wanted 3 points out of that and move up the table a little bit. Certainly would have helped with other matches, having been even Steven that day for us to crawl a little bit up the table, but is what it is. I still feel like there's a ton of other teams, especially the ones above us, that have the capability of dropping quite a bit over the next couple of months. I'm not going to say expect it, but
it could happen.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first. Let's take a little breather. I know we've only been doing it for like 38 minutes, but when we come back, we'll talk city and community news. Definitely be talking on the transfers heavily, and then once we're done with that, we're gonna kind of open the gates up to you guys and let you guys ask us questions for Bro Talk this time. So we will be right back.
This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. Yeah, this is America. Guns in my area. I got the strap. I gotta carry.
We're back.
I don't know why it just did that. I pressed the button. I pressed the button.
Yeah, well.
So city and community news. Before we do, make sure you hit the like. Everybody hit that like right now. Make sure that you are sharing our content and doing all those cool things. Also, forgot to tell everybody when we opened up today. Since Phil scored 2 yesterday, we are doing a discount on the Pew Pew shirt. We get 15% off with code Phil47 if you go down hit the More tab. You can go to our link and then find the shirt and then type in the code. And then boom, you got 50% off. Plus, all of our loyalty members, I'm pretty sure you can stack. So that might be 30% off. Just saying.
Good idea right there.
Just saying. So city and community news. Obviously, the transfer market is wide open. We are in, I won't say desperate need. Yes, we are in desperate need of a lot. As far as what this rebuild, I'm gonna quote it and say it facetiously, rebuild needs. We obviously need defense. We clearly need some help in the midfield. Obviously, some help in the attack is nice, but it's not incredibly necessary. But we need Patrick. Yeah.
Yes.
So let's get into the transfer talk as it stands right now. First things first, Victor Hayes is actually how you say that last name. I was informed earlier today on his pronunciation of his last name. As it stands, he's coming straight to City. No loan move back to Brazil for at Palermo's. Fee reported about £30 million. Is it pound or is it euro? Well, I guess it would be. I guess it would be pound, considering that it's coming this. We're not. Yeah, we're not
We'll go
getting from Europe. We're getting from South America. We don't know their currency down there.
I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time over worrying about that either. So,
Right.
so yeah, it's good. He's coming straight across. I hope folks are patient and don't expect him to come in immediately and slot right into the starting 11. Ease him in, let him get a few minutes off the bench here or there, and at times. But with the health of other first-team defenders starting to get back to where it needs to be, we don't necessarily need him to immediately start in the starting 11. Ruben Diaz was back in training. So his return is hopefully coming soon. Stonesy should be back at some point later this month.
No rushing him back.
Yes, take your time, please.
Just take your time.
So we have him coming in. That one's confirmed. They just have dot all the T's, cross all the I's, get all the necessary paperwork in order. Much like Kusanov, we call him Kushi around here. Looks like his medical is planned tentatively for Friday. They just need to get his work permit approved and finalized, and then the deal for him can officially become done. So there's a lot of paperwork with these younger, when they're 18, 19, 20 years old. There's a lot of extra paperwork with work permits and all these things. So it takes a while. It's not just like, okay, here, you've bought him here, now he can go play for you. There's some steps that need to be taken before these guys are officially unveiled by the club and members of our squad. So that's why you haven't seen anything officially from the club yet. There's some paperwork steps that need to be taken for both of these guys. But we keep bringing in 2 center backs. Super glad that we've already made those deals happen. Now we just got to get them finalized. I do think that signals, considering neither one of them are natural right backs, that would leave Rico as the only player who's naturally a right back. I think that probably signals that Pep is going to go back to the 4 center back from the treble winning season, with one of them stepping more into the midfield and being more of a Akanji on the right. Diaz, Ake, Yoshko would probably be the 4 you'll more than likely see if everybody's healthy, in my opinion. And that will, I think, if they all be healthy, solidify the back line. Then you get spaces for Kushi. Stones can take his time getting back, and then we can work in Vitor Hayes in. I think he's probably a little farther away from being first team ready than Kushi is.
Yeah,
because he's played in League One already. But both of them, there's so much to like, and they bring different skill sets. So much upside.
I don't know if any of you guys have saw highlight reels of Kusanov recently. We put one up on our Instagram story yesterday, and holy shit, man. This guy slots in. This guy slots in, and he slots in well. I'm very excited for him to come in. I don't know if anybody saw, somebody had his shirt already on the press in Manchester, so that's obviously a massive positive. Huang said earlier in the chat, right at the beginning, that Kushyanov actually has had his visa approved. So that's a good step in the right direction. I'm assuming the last thing we'll be waiting for is his work permit from Uzbekistan. So good things are coming there. Defense is getting solidified. Definitely a refresh as far as youth goes, which is desperately needed at that position at this point. Most of our guys are closer to 30 than they are 20. So having these two youngsters come in, wherever Hayes slots in, I'd be happy with, even if it's not naturally at center back. I know that Kushyanov, it will be him definitely at center back for us. We need a lot of rotation there right now. We have not had a healthy Ake. We have not had a healthy Akanji this whole time. You can see it.
They're playing out of necessity at this point. There's nobody else.
Exactly. They're playing out of necessity. I can only imagine what Ake could have been like over the last couple of games. He had some really great stops in this last one, but his health has not been up to par whatsoever. Super excited about these ones. So a lot of people are on about the midfield too. Midfield for me, I feel like a lot of people. I feel like it's going to take a little bit more to find the right person to fill in specific slots. We are obviously looking for a 6'8" type. There are players out there that are worth the look, but I honestly would rather give it a little bit more time, because it's not like we don't have people there. It's just that we've had to heavily rotate people out of position in order for this 11 to even work. So yes, it's a top thing that we need. I think Claudio Echeverri will help shore some stuff up once he comes in. And then same thing when Oscar Bob comes in. So we're looking right around the February mark of when these two guys come back. I think with bringing them in, I know Bob will probably play more on the wing, but he certainly has played between the 8 and 10, just like everybody else has on the corners. I think we'll see a lot of rotation with that. So, I mean, as far as that goes, that's fine. But yes, we probably do need to start looking for another 6. I don't know that. I think Bruno Guimaraes that ship has so far sailed.
Yeah, if that was going to get done, it would have been done
right out of our mouths
2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
Newcastle's on a great run of form. They've not lost in the last 5 Premier League matches. They went from like 10th, 11th, all the way up into 4th position over the past like 5 or 6 games. So they're in a really good run of form. They're not looking to sell people in January. That's just not going to happen. And I'm the same boat with you as far as midfield goes. I don't want to just rush to sign just to get a body in there in January, just to serve the purpose of getting a body in there. I would rather take the next 6 months and find the right guy. I put out a name, was it last show, 2 shows ago? Ezequiel Palacios. He plays for Leverkusen. He's a 6, can play the 8. He's 26 right now. He's right in that range of age that you're looking for. I like him a lot. I would rather us take our time, look to sign someone like him, maybe even kick the tires over Barcelona and see what Frankie de Jong has got going on. He can play the 6. He can play the 8 extremely well too. He's 27. Recently, word is that he's not thrilled with how he's been treated there and is actually looking to move. He almost moved to England a year or 2 ago, so the possibility is there. I would rather us take our time and find someone like that to fill in than just sign somebody to sign somebody. So I'm I'm right there with you. And those are two names I think to keep an eye out for the summertime. Palacios over at Leverkusen. He's an Argentine holding mid, but also can play 8. And then if Frankie de Jong decides he's ready to leave Barca, they need to raise some funds. Regardless of whatever levers they pull, they are a terrible business model, so they're going to have to sell some people. I think Frankie could be a fit and knows how to play the way Pep wants to play. So I think there's options for us.
There is, but I don't think the option is finding somebody in their mid-20s. I think the option is finding somebody between 18 and 22 and doing kind of the same thing that we did with Fernandinho and Rodri when Rodri came in. He needs to be an understudy. And I'm totally pulling verbatim what Steve said earlier on We Are the South Stand. By the way, go check that out if you haven't already. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. But Steve had said it earlier, and I completely agree. I think this is the time that we look for the understudy. For somebody that will be okay taking rotational minutes instead of getting consistent minutes. We don't need that type of energy in our locker room right now. Somebody who's trying to overthrow the next guy. We need somebody who wants to come in and learn the system. Because too often than not, we bring in people whom, and especially with our fan base, expect these players to perform immediately. And that's just not the way that it works with this team. It's not the way that it works with Pep. It takes people usually a year. So, and there's very few that slot in right straight out. Very few. I mean, Savinho has been one of them. And I wouldn't even say it's been a high road of glory with him. It's just the fact that he's still young and we brought him in from one of our clubs to now produce for the main club. And he's done decently at it. But he's not a rock star by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I'm with you. When I'm saying when I'm pulling up like Palacios and Frankie, it's in addition to the player that you're talking about, the younger guy who's going to come in and learn under Rodri. I think we're going to have a few more names leave the midfield, so I think we're going to need first teamers. I think Gundo's probably going to be looking to leave. It seems like Kev is probably on his way out. So there's 2 players in the midfield right there that we're going to need to replace. There's been names, Kova's name has even been brought up as a potential exit. I don't think he would go. I think he is a good rotational squad player.
Contract, anyways.
So for me, when I'm mentioning, a Frankie, Palacios, that kind of player, that's in addition to that younger, because we got to get younger in the midfield for sure, but we also can't go from having all these guys that are in their late 20s, early 30s to everybody's 20. We got we need a few that are ready to start right away, and so I'm agreed 100% with you. Need that young guy to come in, a la Rodri when Fernandinho was here. We also are going to need some, world-class type players to come in and fill in that midfield, because even Jack's name's been thrown around. He would be an option in the midfield, considering next year we'll have the likes of Doku and Bob and Savinho all healthy, competing for minutes out wide. Maybe he slots in more centrally from the get-go next year. So I think we're going to need a couple of bodies in the midfield. I don't think we're going to get somebody in January. Maybe the silence right now is them doing their business and, and moving like in the shadows here. But I feel like if there was somebody that we were going to get in that midfield role in January, names would have popped up already. I think after the Marmouche deal gets hopefully done in the next, 48, 72 hours, that might be the last signing we see come for January. 3 is also a lot.
That's massive for us. Yeah.
1 is as a usual, maybe is ever, not a usual window. Normally it's 0. We don't usually do a lot of business in January. So the fact that we're spending potentially upwards of almost 200 million in January, that's a big deal as it is. So I'm hopeful that with Bob coming back, once Echeverria is done in Argentina for the U20s South American Championship, and then with the 3 signings, we are potentially 2 that we know for sure. And if Marmoush just gets done across the line there, that's 5 new bodies coming in. That's some help for the guys who have been struggling for fitness all year. That's competition for places, which will make training sessions better, which will make people more hungry because they're not just given minutes because they have to, because they're the only one fit. Right. It just will make everything better. So we'll see.
We'll see. That Marmoush deal, last that we saw, or at least I saw, the Marmoush deal is set to be done in the next 48 hours. It will be a 70 million euro plus 5 to 10 million in add-ons. So be on the lookout for it, is all I can say. I mean,
that's probably what
working.
Frankfurt. Yeah, that's what Frankfurt's looking for. I think from what I was reading,
you're trying to get them for like 50.
Yeah,
right.
Which is negotiations. That's good. You're not just going to give the other team exactly what they want the first offer. Right. That's bad business. And that's not good negotiation.
A 20 million euro disparity. I mean, there's ground to be found there.
Especially with the player telling his current club that he wants to move and he wants it now.
Yeah, yeah.
So they have,
and he's performing on top of it.
Scored again. Was it last night? Scored again and assisted twice. Like, that dude is on fire. So the club is like, you know what? He's playing out of his mind. You pay us, but then we're like, well, he said he wants to come to us now, so maybe not exactly the price you want. They'll find some middle ground. And from all accounts, the negotiations and the talks have all been very positive. There's no like ill will or like stale. We didn't like lowball them from the first offer of like, here's 25 mil. What do you think? We didn't try to dick them over like that. Like the offer that they rejected wasn't a bad one. It just wasn't what they were looking for, which is again standard business negotiation tactics. So be on the lookout maybe throughout the weekend. Well, the real thing is on Friday. I think they play again. If he's not in their lineup on Friday, you can probably put in the bank that the deal is going to be done on either that day or over the weekend. If he's starting again, that doesn't mean it's over either. It just means they need some more time to negotiate.
Yep. City have received loan offers, plenty of them, for James McAtee, but they have all been rejected. Thank the Lord. There's another person for our midfield that will continue to blossom. I know a lot of people have been scared about him potentially leaving in this window, but I think with the way that City have been blocking up all of these loan transfers, it's safe to say that Pep does see him as a part of the plan. So, like I said, that shores us up one more midfielder. For sure.
And somebody, a versatile player, because we saw him play on the wing and do well there too. So he's somebody that can play across multiple positions up top, which is
exactly
something Pep clearly values, a la Bernardo Silva, a la Phil Foden.
Right? It's definitely a position that we have available all the time. Of you can work here and there.
Managers, coaches like players that can play in multiple. You make yourself that much more valuable to the team and to the manager if you can perform,
and for yourself.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be able to play.
I look at Nunes playing right back. That has to up your value a little bit.
And Nico O'Reilly playing left back last time. So you see a lot of guys playing all over the place out of necessity at times. But when you do and you play well, it's like, hey, you can trust me here too, Gaffer. Throw me out here. And honestly, Nunes might be needed out there even more. Rico has shown he's a decent player if he has to play every single game. He's a better player when he's not playing 90 minutes twice a week all the time. He's a better player when he's not having to do that. And when Kyle eventually goes, when he's out, you got Akanji, and he's been needed at center back because of all the injury issues. Who else are you going to put out there? Stones can't be trusted health-wise either. So we might be seeing more Nunes at the right back position going forward. Because I don't see us again. I don't think we're signing any more people at this point. So I don't think we're seeing a right back coming in this window.
I would kind of like to see him play in that pivot role and kind of work as like a swap 6 with whomever's playing there if we're going to do that formation.
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying that he could probably run the 6 role all season, and he hasn't once. I think he has not like for like, but very close to Rodri physicality. To nice banana, yeah. Yeah, I think I think he could be. I think he should be considered there. I mean, obviously, we're not in the trainings. We don't see what's going on or what's in Pep's mind, but give it a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Someone give it a chance.
Along those lines, with Pep, was it Steve was hijacking our notes again earlier in the show. Right. We have two things in this community that we wanted to bring up on that are a little bit more on the somber side, a little sadder. Came out recently that Pep and his wife have decided to separate after 30 years of marriage. So there, Steve. Double fisted that one too.
Yeah, bitch.
Well, I'm glad we can be lighthearted in this moment. Where we're just talking about
you said you were bringing up hard stuff, and I was like, no.
No. I'm doing it right now. So that probably explains a little why Pep has been unpep-like at times, where he's been a little more cranky with the media, when he's been a little more passionate with the players, when he's struggling to figure out things. That's because he's got a lot on his fucking mind. Him and his wife, who've been together for 30 years, are separating. That's a humongous life change to happen for anybody, let alone you've been together for that long a time. That had to have been weighing on him, and still is, obviously. So I wonder if
I'm sorry, this is totally like left field, but I wonder if she like Giselle Bodenshand him. You know what she did to Tom Brady? Like it's either football or me.
And Pep was like, football. So, yeah. So hope it becomes an amicable separation, and all things work out for him and his soon-to-be ex-wife, I guess. I hope it all goes smooth. It's unfortunate that was going on for anybody, let alone the manager that we love of our wonderful club. But maybe now that the news is out and they are starting to come to grips with everything, it's not a secret anymore, so he doesn't feel like he has to hide it. Maybe that's just a little bit of a weight off of his shoulders and can just go about his business and just be free and not have to be worrying so much about the behind the scenes items that were going on at home. So
right. Well, it's funny because there was a couple of cats that were let out of the bag when it pertains to Pep. So Pep also, as he's spewing out, internal stuff, Pep told the board he wanted a final go last season with the current squad before a refresh, and the injury bug killed us. So here we are in January.
The Cheeky and the rest of the front office guys were saying it's time to rebuild, refresh, whatever you want to call it, and Pep pretty much put the kibosh to that and said, I want one more go at it with my guys that have been here for a long time. And unfortunately, the injury bug happened, and he didn't get an opportunity to see what that would have looked like with everybody healthy, but it happened, and not everybody hits it all the time.
Nope. Dude, I would love Steve, to have Matt Carter.
This part, now that's come out, too. Steve,
you can count on it. You can count on it. The fucking internet demons will fucking do some stupid shit like this and spin the story. Watch.
And who knows what people in the stands are going to say. They'd like to say whatever the fuck they want because they feel like they can say whatever they want because they paid the cost of admission, which means they can do whatever they want.
Whatever they want, right?
Newsflash, that's not how life works. It's the same thing over here with freedom of speech. Sure, you can say whatever you want. That doesn't mean that there's freedom of consequences.
That bingo Yahtzee.
So sure, you can go to the match, but that doesn't mean you get to run roughshod and do whatever the fuck you want and say whatever you want to whoever you'd like. Not how it works, man.
Please believe that here in the States, that shit does not fly. If you're in the stands and you're being that guy, I don't know if you've all seen I think it was a Bleacher Report reported it out first. The Eagles fan who is in the Packers, the chick Packers fan's ear, telling her she was an ugly twat and a fucking dumb cunt and all this shit. Bro, if that's me in the stands or any other fucking red-blooded American, you're getting your ass beat.
With the quickness.
And you'll be carted out of the fucking stadium.
And other people are going to go tell on you. And the steward, I hope it's the case over there too, that the workers will come down and remove people who are being degenerate.
And guess what? You'll get a ban for it too.
I'm pretty sure that dude already got a gigantic lifetime ban too, which is good. That's the way to curtail people who misbehave in the stands. You can't just like kick them out Eagles are Philadelphia. Their long time stadium, the Vet, right?
Yeah.
Had a fucking jail in it because their fans don't know how to behave. That's
a fact. That's a fact, dude. Actually, that's funny you said that, and it's kind of related, but not entirely unrelated. The club that I used to work in DC, Echo Stage. If anybody doesn't know that, it's one of the biggest clubs in the world at this point. They actually have it's not really a jail, but it's a med room where they take all the crazy people who did too much and make them sit in a bright room until they can fucking sober up. So I thought that was, sorry. Random stories from Colby.
There you go. Hey, it pertained because they had a special place within the area. So I totally understand where your mind was going there.
Thank you.
Makes
Thank you.
sense.
Sorry. Sometimes I get flighty when I'm talking, especially when I take a really late nap.
That'll happen. On the other somber piece, we lost the city legend yesterday. Former club captain and manager Tony Book passed away at 90. He made 315 appearances for the club, and he won 7 trophies during his tenure there. We've heard a lot from other City fans that have put on their socials their time meeting him and how much of a gentleman and a just generally good person he was anytime people had the opportunity to meet him. So biggest condolences to his family and anybody who's feeling the impact of his loss after about 24 hours or so now. But what a absolute City legend and even better person, it seems. So just unfortunate that happened, but he's resting in peace now. Are you serious,
dude? They have no.
He needs a hard punch to the fucking throat. Is what that dude needs.
Journos are fucking ruthless, dude. Absolutely ruthless.
Then they've been emboldened even more now because most of their shit is done via their phone, tablet, or computer, and they don't have to interact with people so much in a setting like this. So it's just like, and they know that if there's so many cameras around now that if any player, manager, person says anything to them negatively or does anything, it's going to be recorded, and they got a fucking lawsuit on their hands. It's so fucking annoying. I can't stand people that do shit like that.
Dude. See, people like that are proof. People like that are proof that there are not enough ass beatings handed out from parents to children.
or peer to peers in
or
real
peer to
life.
peer. Yeah. I'm sorry. I and maybe it's the American in me, but like, you shouldn't get you can't just get away with shit like that. You just can't.
Nope. There needs to be a swift consequence immediately afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my fucking god! Wow.
Via words or
My fucking fist
physical.
in your fucking mouth. Yeah, yeah, stupid. Little FA Cup tournament news. FA could be scrapping extra time and replays in next year's tournament.
Please, dear God, do that. No, number one, never any replays. There's far too many games as it is. Number two, nobody wants to play an extra 30 fucking minutes. Just go right to PKs, bro. If it's still tied after 90, just go right to PKs. None of those players want to play an extra 30 minutes. None of those managers want to do another 30 minutes on the pitch. There's no golden goal, so you're playing the entire 30 minutes. So either go golden goal or go straight to PKs. No more extra time. No more, especially no more replays. That was lunacy from the get-go.
Of all the tournaments that are in this game, FA Cup seems to continuously, dude. You
found him.
Be careful. You found him. Be careful what you wish for.
You found two right here, brother.
Right. I don't remember where I was going with that.
I think you were going to praise the FA for potentially like evolving with the times and not just staying stagnant, maybe with what they do because they're changing rules.
Well, I mean, I could say that, sure. But
maybe
no. Oh no. About extra time. I have the whole 30 minutes, but also the extra time that's added on, and all the tournaments. It seemingly is the tournament on the second half where they put the most amount of fucking minutes. I don't remember. I mean, World Cup was the only one that I can remember where they were putting up absurd numbers.
World Cup was out of control with stoppage time.
Yeah,
15 minutes of stoppage time. Get the fuck out of here.
But I agree with you. I don't think the 30 extra minutes is needed. A golden ball or PK right after.
Nobody wants that extra.
It's that easy. It's that easy. And I understand from the perspective, especially from the lower teams, like that may not really work out with you so well because you're playing for a lot, but you're going to go home with nothing more than likely. Where the big teams, they stay up, right? They usually are the last ones in the tournament. You get a rare case where you get a lower,
like a Wigan,
exactly, like a Wigan that makes it all the way through. For them, I feel like it would kind of hurt them to not have that opportunity, especially considering that a lot of this is in the mindset of, well, we're trying to curb the amount of time that people play because of specific teams that are in multiple competitions. It's a double-edged sword a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what we talked about in the last one, especially the revenue, I feel like it would be beneficial to have the stadiums open longer, especially the lower end teams, by making as much money as they can from the door. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously, ticket sales you're only going to get X amount anyways because you're stopped at 50%. It's a 50-50 split, which I still don't agree with. I don't agree with that at all. Home stadiums should get the majority of the revenue.
If it's a neutral site, 50-50, perfect sense. But if it's you're the home team, at minimum 55-45, you should be getting a little bit more than the away team.
Exactly. But I can see how this could potentially negatively affect lower end teams. But I'm totally for it. I'm totally for it.
Final whistle blows, PKs it is.
Exactly. Speaking of FA, the FA Cup draw did happen. We officially know that we will be playing Leyton Orient in the fourth round. We'll be playing at Leyton. So That's some news, I guess. I think
Well, it's nice to know officially who were. Last time we were on, we knew that it was either them or
them or
Derby,
yeah,
Derby County.
yep. It was Derby
But now
County.
we know who it's going to be, which is good. Where we're going, that's always nice.
Exactly. So there's that part. Last little bit of city news is Ruben returned to practice. Thank fucking God. Do we see him slot in this weekend, or do we give him until?
I think Wednesday against PSG
the?
is probably the target for him.
That makes the most sense.
Barring, knocking on wood, any other injuries over the next day or two where they have to go. I don't understand where that last comment came from.
Yeah, we know that. So why are you talking at us like that?
I'm still confused. I'm very confused.
No, it's very typical, and I've dealt with this a lot recently, where them over there think that we're fucking stupid, and we don't know what we're talking about. Like, I'm very aware that it's not 20 clubs that are in this fucking tournament.
Yeah, it's the entire. Yeah, we got that.
It's the entire fucking nation. We get that.
I don't think anybody said it was just 20. I mean, we could be, but I don't think that's likely.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just kind of.
We're 100% humble.
Yeah, we're 100% humble.
I don't know
I think you need to flip what you're thinking about us, because you're showing some colors right now, and I'm not having it.
Steve, do you really think a few minutes for Ipswich, maybe a cameo appearance last 5-10 minutes just to stretch the legs a little bit?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I was asking Steve Black, because he said he thought Diaz would get a few minutes against Ipswich on Sunday, and I was thinking, maybe 5-10 minutes on the pitch to stretch the legs a little bit. I was wondering if that's what Steve was saying. Steven Smith.
Yeah.
Love you, bro.
Right.
So Sunday we have Ipswich away. They, without doing anything this past, because they don't play again until tomorrow. But Wolves, Leicester, and Southampton have not done well recently. So Ipswich, without playing, has moved out of the relegation zone. They are now in 17th. So they are moving out of the bottom three, which they've been in the entire season. And they just gave Chelsea a tough run recently too. So even though they're bottom 4 in the table and have been in the relegation zone, I don't think anybody's taking them lightly, considering the form we have been in over the past 3 or 4 months. I don't think you can say anybody is going to be an easy match. So, former City striker Liam Delap will clearly have something to prove. I think we'll see him playing like crazy come Sunday afternoon, evening time, depending on where you're watching from. So we'll see what happens. I have no inkling of who Pep is going to choose at this point. So I'm excited for another match on Sunday, though. It's going to be a good time.
Thanks for clearing yourself up, Andy. But I don't think you understood what I was saying at the very end, because it was very much in agreement with what you were saying. So anybody who's going to fly off the handle and say that we're looking like Americans, you're not going to get a good response from, especially.
It's a very, very touchy subject currently because of the way we've been treated by certain individuals and people. From across the pond at times. Not everybody, obviously, but
not everybody. But
there are a few
recognizable enough.
Yeah. So, but for me, even the lower tier teams, they might like the replay for that reason, but they also are probably more at times can be focused on, if they're, depending on where they are in the table, a promotion situation. So, but again, PKs are crapshoot, dude. Sometimes the keeper for the low, if you want the lower, if it's a lower tier team, stands on their head and they come out and they have a better chance at PKs than they would on a replay situation where they have to play again. So, for me, I don't think a replay is necessarily a better situation for lower tier teams. I think a PK shootout gives them a better opportunity than having to play a Man City, a Chelsea, a Liverpool a second time, even if it might be at your home stadium. But think about those if they have to go to Anfield or to the Etihad or Stamford Bridge. Not a great opportunity to win those matches if you're going that route. So for me, PK shootout probably a better opportunity for those folks. So
agreed.
Which is where we're coming from.
Right. Exactly.
Yes, it's all ifs and buts replay. Yes. Thank you, Steve.
So let's look a little bit ahead at the weekend, away at Ipswich. Like you said, we're going to be gambling.
That's
man.
not really. Andy, how long do you stay in Vegas when you go? Because there's a certain number that's the correct number.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a movie. There was a movie that put that out there.
Spelled it out.
Yeah, spelled it out. 2 nights is good. 3 nights is too many.
There you go. So,
yeah. So look ahead. You had said something about Liam Delap. He's definitely going to be looking to put a hurt on his old team. I definitely feel like that. Calvin Phillips will be a non-factor.
Yep.
They've looked pretty well over the last few weeks, so I can't imagine they're not up for it. So we've got to treat this one. This is for all the marbles. And we really got to treat the rest of the season like that at this point.
Every game has got to be like that for sure.
Because from what I calculated, and I was conversating with somebody about, there's only 88 points that we could reach at this point.
If we win the remainder, remember every remaining point, that's the maximum amount we can get to is 88.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said because it crackled.
No worries. I was just confirming that it was if we win everything remaining in the Premier League, 88 is a max that we could reach, right?
Yeah, it's a max we can reach at this point.
That's asking a lot.
It's
but
I still really feel like there's especially Liverpool, they have still so much that it's like they're gonna fall at some point. You don't go on these runs for this long and there not be a massive lull. Dude, he goes for 10 days
at a time.
Do you like
10 days
travel?
at a time?
No. Do you like travel and go see shit, or do you just stay in Vegas? Because if you stay in Vegas for 10 days, you are the definition of a hedonist.
I hope you maybe that's your home base and you branch out and see other things and don't just spend 10 days sitting in the casinos. I hope that's not
right, because we know they don't got windows in that motherfucker. So
there's a hotline that you should
listen.
Call.
When I was a flight attendant, man, I went to Vegas a couple of times. After about 36 hours, I'm good. I want to leave. Get me the fuck out. Because if it's not one sin, it's another that's just come here. Come here.
We want you to fuck up.
Yeah. It's if it wasn't for the mob, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
For the mob.
Exactly.
So yeah, that kind of concludes city and community news. Now we are shifting into our bro talk, we're actually going to do something a little bit different. For those of you guys who are in here tonight, you want to ask us questions, you want to ask questions about the club, about us, whatever it may be, we're going to leave the line open. Yeah, just talk random shit. We're going to leave the line open here for the next, I don't know, like 7 to 10 minutes, and field some questions and just bullshit for the time being. Let's see. I'm still. What do you do in Vegas for 10 days?
Andy, I need you to answer that. Okay.
I need a full description.
What's the itinerary?
What is the itinerary? Oh, he plays poker. Oh.
Do you typically come out on top when those 10 days are done, or is it
you not leave on a heater?
Yeah. Or is it a long flight back home because of that?
A long, sad flight home.
Yes.
With a layover at JFK.
Do you go by yourself? Or do you have like homies that go with you? Does the missus go too? Oh Lord, not even going to give that one any attention.
You know how much attention it's gonna get? A big old block.
Bye.
TSA is the problem. TSA is the problem. TSA's been a problem since 2001.
Facts.
Behind the name of the Snobby Boys. Oh well, I could be a complete cockbag and tell you to go look at our website, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Why is he? Well, how? Right? So the story behind the Snobby Boys. The name obviously has. I really just want to read. I just want to read it verbatim. I mean, the story comes from when I've really first started. I mean, it's only been a couple of years for me, really. When I first started watching, I tried. Me and Joe actually met through the Washington D.C. OSC. We started exchanging comments and stuff through their Facebook page. Soon we found out at that point it was the summer where we signed Holland. They were over here in the U.S. They were playing in Houston and Green Bay. And coincidentally, we both chose Green Bay. I chose Green Bay specifically because my friend Kyle, who's been a City supporter for, I think, 12 years now, 10, 12 years, he lives in Chicago. So it made the most sense for me to travel to Chicago and then us travel up to Wisconsin. And then for Joe, I mean, nobody really wants to go to Houston, to be honest, because Houston is literally Satan's nutsack after getting, thrown through the fire. I'm not going to lie. Dude, every time I've gone into Houston airport, you step out of the plane, you're automatically sweating. It's gross down there. So, yeah, we chose Wisconsin. We met up, hung out. It is a cool stadium, Chad. I won't lie. It's definitely a cool stadium, but it's too hot of a city for me and for Joe. We'll melt. We are snow because we are northern men. We will melt.
Yeah, and when I go to one of these things, it's not just like for the game experience. I also want to see a new place, and for me, seeing driving up from Milwaukee up to Green Bay, seeing Lambeau Field, and then seeing the countryside of an area of this country I'd never been to before was more alluring to me than hopping around a city by myself the whole time. So that wasn't super exciting for me. So I was looking at it, I was like, Lambeau Field's legendary. That's what I'm going to go to.
Exactly. That was also another part of it too for me, was the fact that I got to check off going to Lambeau Field on my bucket list. So we got up there.
What up?
What up, house captain? We got up there Me and Kyle drove from Chicago. It's about a 3.5 hour drive. Took in those sites. We met up with Joe just before the match. I believe we went over to the little pre-party City had with Jolene Lescott and Sean Wright Phillips and was it Sean? No, Zabaleta, Pablo Zabaleta, and the U.S. whatever the fuck she is. Only the U.S. people will laugh at me saying that. So from there, we went to the match. We went through 2 rainstorms while we were at this match. We were forced into the corridors, which was awesome because it was just city chants all the way around Lambeau Field. At that point in time, Kyle and I had our own podcast. And it was called City After Dark, and it was attached to another podcast that we had called 3 Points in a Pie. Joe, coincidentally, was also podcasting at the same time with his podcast.
Stoppage Time.
Thank you, Stoppage Time, with a couple of his mates that he's since been in the game and corresponding with people over the internet and whatnot. I can't honestly remember the exact moment where I looked at you guys and I was like, we're the Snobby Boys. And for what reason and why at this point? Other than I wanted to be completely different than everybody else.
I remember it was over cheese curds and beer at the brewery that was nearby. We were all sitting down talking, and it just kind of came naturally to all of us. And we all were like, you know what? That's perfect. Like that, it fits. I love the sound of it. And it's grown ever since the summer of 2022. So almost 3 years coming up this summer.
This summer. Yeah. That's wild.
I know, right?
Dude, do you remember being in high school and you remember back and you're like how long it took to get through high school?
Felt like
it seemed like it took. It felt like forever, right? We're just blowing through high school like it's nothing.
No big deal. Speaking of, this year is 20th year anniversary time for high school, so everybody's all the people from high school are starting to feel that. So now it's, when are we going to do the reunion? And everybody's like starting up the Google form survey saying, if we did an event, what would you like it to be? And blah, 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 blah. And now everybody's like popping off on the book about what we're doing for my senior year's 20th anniversary and reunion thing. And I'm like, I don't think I really give a damn about going.
I don't.
So y'all could be excited about it, but like, I have no interest in really going and being around all these other people that I haven't really stayed in touch with. That doesn't like appeal to me. Like there's the people I want to talk to from high school, I currently do. Those who I don't, I see on Facebook and keep on scrolling. So
there's only one person that I would like to like reconnect with from high school. That me and him hung out most like my whole junior and senior year. Like we became really good friends. And he's recently with his wife gotten internet famous. Him and his wife have a podcast called I can't even remember it now. Yo, night Andy. I appreciate. Hey, listen, man. It happens. It is what it is.
Anytime you're communicating via like messages like this,
context is everything,
and it gets misconstrued. And so, one, thank you for explaining and listening to our side of things. And like adults, come to a resolution, man. It's all good. Thank you for being here. Thanks for coming back. Greatly appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Give It To Me Straight. That's the podcast name. Give It To Me Straight. They've kind of blown up a little bit, and we haven't really talked since senior year. He went down to, I want to say he went to Wake Forest for college. Spent a little bit of extra time there. met his now wife, and now they live in LA, which, oops. Feel bad for the people out in LA, but with as much stuff has been coming out in the news as to what's really going on there, I'm feeling less and less bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have any of you got tickets for the Philly Club World Cup game, bro?
They're making it fairly difficult to do this year.
Yes.
On Ticketmaster, you can only purchase up to 6 tickets at a time. I tried to do through City and you got a special access code to buy within the City section, but you can only buy 1 ticket per access code. So all I would have been able to do was buy my ticket and nobody else's. So
and we
currently
got families that want to go see.
Yeah, so it's like, and it would be nice because the 7 of us would obviously like to sit together, my 3 and his 2. But if we can only buy 6 at a time, we're gonna have to work. There's plenty of tickets can be found. Like it's not worried about not being able to go, but it's just taking some coordination to make sure that we're at least sitting fairly near each other. So
at the very least, for those whom are coming over to watch Club World Cup, especially in Philly, I'm going to actually make my attempt. If tickets are well overpriced and we can't all get together in the same section, I would like to go up and at least tailgate and show some of our main counterparts what a tailgate is like, and go as far as bringing my TV down and putting it on the tailgate of the truck, and we all watch the game out there and party and have a good time. So there's that possibility.
House Captain, to answer your question on the Ticketmaster piece, the ones when you're buying on the resale are not in the City section. Typically, you might get a random one popped up, but they just recently released like buy in the City section stuff, so that hasn't really made its way to the secondary market yet. So most of the tickets you're going to find on Ticketmaster are all like on the sides of the field, behind the sidelines. All the supporters sections for both clubs are behind the behind the goals, and like straight up into the stadium. So those 2 sections on either side are the supporter sections that the two clubs are selling directly to their fans who have the access code and all those kind of things. The Ticketmaster stuff is pretty much everywhere else so you can get kind of near the section, but also for those who have not been to the link before, there really is not a bad seat in the house. I've been to a couple of American football games there, in a concert too. And wherever you sit there, it's pretty much a great view of the match. Whoever designed that, the engineers that did a really good job. I hate saying that about Philadelphia because I don't like Eagles at all, or that city particularly too much. I go visit on a regular basis just to spend like the day there, and then I'm out. But wherever you get tickets, be it on the lower bowl, upper bowl, wherever, it's a good watch.
I'm going to be honest with you. You're going to have a little bit of trouble with this regardless. Unfortunately, for the vast majority of the City fan base over here, and we're only saying this because of experience and having gone to stadiums and trying to start chants and stuff like that, you're not going to find a lot of City supporters who actually know the songs. Very, very few that actually do. You're probably going to get a lot of the American "Let's Go City," which is unfortunate to say, but it happens. We dealt with it in North Carolina. We dealt with it in where else did we go? Columbus. But we're trying to do our damn best to get people to start like assimilating to the culture rather than just making up their own. Yeah, exactly. It's just not going to end well, and especially if cunt is thrown out anywhere in the stadium, oh my god, that's going to go over like a fucking fart in church.
He just said in the chat that he'll be deported. But I don't think you're going to have a problem sitting near City fans. I would expect
No.
the majority of that stadium to be filled with, hopefully, true blue City fans. A good chunk of them will likely be folks who are there for the experience that claim to be City fans, that have their knockoff City jerseys that aren't quite the right color because they just bought them for $25 outside the
Temu.
stadium or off Temu or whatever. So you will see a lot of City fans. Some of them will be legit true fans that know everything about the club like us. You'll also get quite a few at any of the matches that you go to for the Club World Cup, of those who are there for the experience and are just throwing on the shirt just to look cool, because it's definitely trendy and popular over here to be a City fan.
Yeah. It is unfortunately right now. Yeah, it is the popular thing. I mean, obviously, because they're doing so well. I mean, they're suffice it to say, City is what United was in the early 2000s, and with as much with the ability that we have now over here in America to be able to see as many matches as we are on television, City obviously has gained a lot of popularity. They're typically they get more play on our national broadcast, USA, than most of the teams do. I mean, United still gets it. Arsenal still, top 4 teams, big clubs, if you will. They get more of the time on USA. Most of it we have to watch on Peacock, which is a streaming service through NBC. So anyway, yeah, it's just made it more orange is the new black. It's made it much more accessible. One thing that you will see too, especially coming over these Club World Cup matches, are people who don't have a team in the tournament. They will show up to your match in a completely different fucking strip than anybody else in the stadiums. Like,
wherever
you'll see a Barcelona guy, you'll see a Liverpool guy, you'll see a Real Madrid guy. You might run into an Everton, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's a very hodgepodgey thing. I love the UST. Nice. I didn't know that. Sorry we're not really popping up all the comments on the screen tonight, guys. It's a lot of work to sit here and do this, do that, have conversation, press buttons. So I hope nobody's taking it too hard. I'm being called Steve Orange from now on.
I love you guys.
Right? Let's not. You guys have any other questions for us? We actually, what have you covered so far tonight?
Brentford match, transfers, guys who are coming in that we know of, that we've been linked to, that are confirmed, just waiting on paperwork, all those kind of things. We talked about Pep a little bit, gave some big ups to why am I blanking?
Tony Book?
Yes, that's where I was going. Thank you.
Yep. Yes, we did do a Brentford breakdown at the beginning of the episode.
Was there something you were going to mention that popped up today?
Who, me? Oh, yeah. Yes, forgot about that completely. Oh, my God, we got so wrapped up in this. So, guys, I don't know if you saw Big Steve and Daps put together a channel. We Are the South Stand. Pretty excited about that. A lot of stuff coming up with that you should be tuned in for. They're putting together quite a project. It's going to be a massive collection, from what I'm understanding, of City content creators, including ourselves. If you didn't see, their first episode did come out today. So if you could go, make sure you follow We Are the South Stand. And make sure you hit the notification, all stuff, to stay up with them. Been in talks with Daps a little bit. So, like I said, you'll be seeing our faces on that as well. So we're super, super excited about that. Not only just for us, but really for them. We actually had conversations with both of them over the summer, and having them on, and they had talked about this, specifically Daps, talked about this happening, and we've been sitting quietly waiting to see what would come of it. We understand that they're both very busy guys, got a lot of stuff going on, so I'm glad that it finally is here. What's your take on this, Joe?
I'm pumped because watching the show this afternoon, they had mentioned that they wanted it to kind of be a safe space for city community to come together, because it seemed like United had kind of their own thing. At times, Liverpool had a show. Content creators kind of had a show where they could just come together, talk shit in their own bubble, and not have to worry about outsiders or anything else. So I'm very excited about seeing those, because those two together on camera is a awesome dynamic. I love watching them when they're on the same show. So having them come together, leading a spot where we can all, as city content creators, as people who love Man City, can come together, either watch, participate, and just be amongst like-minded community members and just build it together, which is what you really want. And what we've been trying to do in our own way is do that. So seeing it on a bigger scale is very exciting. So I'm pumped. Appreciate you, Steve-O.
Yeah, bud.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yes, sir. Go make that guapo. I think that's what you're doing.
Steve, when Daps was on, we definitely got just about 3, if not over 3 hours when we were with him.
Yep.
So Jordan's a talker.
He is a talker. No, but no, it was actually they actually held it pretty well together in a timely manner. It wasn't like a super. You didn't have Jordan waffling the whole time, which was super cool. Not that I don't enjoy what he says on the whole. I think just his random thoughts, because like me and him, in spite of us looking like each other in some ways, our minds work the same way too. So it's like I understood where that thought came from sometimes when he does that. There's a definite gap for City fans around this time, and later for the West Coast and Aussies. Yeah. It is. Clone, you mean?
I'm putting it up there. Yes. And then
Dude,
yes,
it's so funny. No, like listen, there's really some words y'all use over there that I'm just like, how did that become the word for your definition? Like, how did you land on waffle? Like, what does waffling have to do with talking nonsense? Right? I love waffles too.
I got a Christmas gift that was a toaster, and it holds.
Oh my god!
But they're Post-it notes. They're little waffle Post-it notes. So that stays on my desk, but I need to jot little things down. It's awesome.
You cannot believe that.
Outstanding.
I'm going to make a joke of that from now on. Now, I thank you, Steph. Did you have something waffling around in your head? Did you need to put it down?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Oh, God bless. Do you use waffling at home? Yeah. I sure do.
He does in our text conversations too. So
I waffle a lot. I'm the waffler. That should be my nickname.
The waffler.
The waffler. I'll come on here dressed up like Jim Carrey and Batman Forever, but it's waffle print instead of green and question marks everywhere. Yeah. I'll make like a hat. It's like a chef hat and it has like syrup coming out of the top.
There you go. There's so many possibilities here.
I exactly. Waffle person.
Waffly versatile. Steve, bro. You know how Martin goes into Luke's streams
Yeah.
and derailed?
He rails.
Steve is that for us.
Steve is our derailer. He is. I love it.
And I love it.
Yep.
Jinx.
Person jinx.
Pinch poke, yomi a
soda, bitch. Waffle me this, waffle me that. Who's scared of the big blind bat? Yep, dad puns all day, dude. I am a dad joke pro, bro.
Yes.
Do you not have any other questions for us?
Goodness gracious. We started Bro Talk and it was like hour and 25. We're now at an hour and 50.
Last 25 minutes have gone by real fast.
You said 7 to 10 minutes you were going to leave it open, and here we are because it was just been that good.
Yeah, it's just been that good. All right, we're going to wrap it up here, guys. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us this evening. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we super appreciate it. Make sure that you hit the like, make sure you hit the subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell for all of our content on YouTube, and then make sure that you follow us at SnobbyPod on all social media platforms. If you love what we do us a solid and share the shit. For fuck's sake. Just fucking share it. Just a click of a button. That's all it is. You ain't got to write nothing. You just like, boom, there it is. Everybody can see. Bam. It helps us out tremendously, though, guys. The likes, and sharing, you don't realize how much it makes a difference for us, especially as we're trying to grow. So until Sunday, where we'll actually be having a guest on, her name is Kelly. I don't know her last name. We haven't gone into that much conversation, but she has been around the X community quite a bit. She's been on a few shows here recently. We'll be having her on to talk a little bit about Ipswich and get to know her as a City fan. And then, until Sunday. Yes. Yes. Can't start a fire. Can't start a fire.